Welcome back to the show, Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. Happy to welcome our next guest. It's Paul Finebaum, college football analyst and host of the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN Radio. He's got a brand new book out called My Conference Can Beat Up Your Conference, Why the SEC Still Rules College Football. And apparently we're still trying to track him down. He'll join us in just a second. He's a busy man.
Maybe talking to him now.
He's on a whirlwind
We're
tour.
efforting.
He's a superstar.
He is.
During the break, Sacktown Mike did call in. So I told him to call back at 9:45. He'll give us an update. I think Paul is with us now. And as you mentioned, he's got the new book out. My Conference Can Beat Up Your Conference, Why the SEC Still Rules College Football. What's happening, Paul?
No, that's not too much of an in-your-face title, is it?
I love it.
It's great.
And even though the SEC didn't win the BCS title last year, I mean, they had been on a roll and probably, I don't know, I haven't looked at the top 10 right now, but if you look at the top 20, the top 25, it's dominated by the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, and if you do look at the top 10, you'll have Alabama number 2, Auburn at 5, and South Carolina at 8 or 9. Yeah, I mean, listen, some people say, well, the SEC lost the national championship game. My response is not really. We consider Florida State an SEC school.
Oh, you'll just claim Florida State as your own?
That's
I
funny.
mean, their coach won a national championship under Saban. The quarterback's from Alabama. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. And, they're always in trouble with the law, so they fit right in, don't they?
Paul, by the way, how much does it rankle Florida fans with Will Muschamp over there that Florida State has risen to such prominence?
Well, it rankles them so much that their team went 4-8, lost to Georgia Southern, and their coach is one hiccup away from being fired.
How many games does Muschamp have to win to keep his job?
Well, let me start backwards. He has the 2 toughest road games of the year in college football. He's at Tuscaloosa and at Tallahassee, so that's 0-2. And he has LSU and South Carolina. The key game is at Tennessee. The key game for him is going to be Georgia. He has never beaten Georgia. That's his alma mater. You have to beat Georgia at some point to remain a decent quality of life in Gainesville, and if he doesn't do that, he will not be back.
What's the health status on Driscoll's leg?
I'm told it's good, but that's before the first hit comes.
Right,
so,
right.
I think you always hate to get into they're going to be the surprise team. I mean, they're 4-8 last year, so anything is better. But I think they have a chance to be pretty good offensively, and their defense. They've got Hargraves is probably the best player in the SEC, their corner. So I think they have a shot at a pretty good year.
All right, getting back to Florida State. Obviously, Jameis Winston had a great year last year, and they won it all. And then he had a very active offseason there, which was noted. What are your thoughts?
You call stealing crab legs act?
Yeah, yeah, it was very active. What are your thoughts on Winston and how he'll play this year? He still has Rashad Green to throw to. I'm sure they got plenty of running backs. They always have athletes on the end. Your thoughts on I haven't even looked at their schedule. I think they open up with Oklahoma State.
They open. They have a neutral site game with Oklahoma State in Dallas the first weekend. They have Notre Dame at home. They're at Miami, and I think the trickiest game of the year is a Thursday night game against Bobby Petrino in Louisville.
Huh.
They'll be favored in every game, mostly by double digits. But I just think Jameis Winston is a train wreck. I was with some people. I'm in Alabama today, and he's from here, and I think he's a bad character kid, and I know that's not really a shocking revelation, but I just don't see him being able to keep it together.
Talk to me about Jake Coker, the quarterback. He's the new quarterback for Alabama. At least I think he is. He's transferred from Florida State. Big kid. What do we expect from him this year?
Well, I'm going to start by saying something that's going to get a chuckle, but it's Lane Kiffin loves him. Now, Lane Kiffin, by the way, is the new coordinator at Alabama. I know that sounds pretty strange.
Right.
And I don't think you have to be great at Alabama. It's a cliche to say so-and-so is a system quarterback, but A.J. McCarron last year was, and he nearly won Alabama their third straight national championship. I think Coker, he'll have All-American wide receiver, All-American running back. He's got a pretty good, pretty strong offensive line. It's not that difficult at Alabama, and Alabama has has a really favorable schedule. Again.
What's the one game on the opening weekend that you're really looking forward to this year?
Well, I think, I mean, there's no killer game. I think Georgia-Clemson will be a little bit of a bellwether just to see if Georgia is back. Probably the Thursday night game between Texas A&M and South Carolina is intriguing because the South Carolina is expected to be an SEC national championship contender without Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I'll see it to believe it. But there isn't a what I would call a dynamic game. The second weekend is the weekend. You have Michigan State at Oregon. I mean that's got just star written all over it. And then the third weekend, Georgia goes to South Carolina. So you start to see the dominoes falling very quickly, at least nationally with Oregon and Michigan State, and then the SEC with Georgia and South Carolina.
We're joined by Paul Finebaum, college football analyst, host of the Paul Finebaum Show. His new book out, My Conference Can Beat Up Your Conference, Why the SEC Still Rules College Football. You're on your book tour right now. My question to you is, do you have any stops outside of the state of Alabama? Because I see today you're in Huntsville, then next you're in Dothan, Opelika, Montgomery, Mobile.
Because of the SEC network launch next week, I only had a week to do this. I will go to Georgia on Friday, and then we're ending the tour, is this appropriate, Saturday night in Baton Rouge. Whether anybody shows up for the book signing or not, I don't care. It's a good place to party on a Saturday night. I'm hoping to get to the East Coast the week after next, but we didn't set anything yet because of the launch of the network, and it does sound very regional, although the book was excerpted today in the Wall Street Journal, which I know will be huge for my readers.
I'm wondering what your take is on the future of the SEC and if any conference can rival them. You say that you can beat up any conference. My conference can beat up your conference. Can another conference get up there?
I think the Pac-12 is in contention. I mean, I spent two or three weekends last year in the Pac-12, and I was in LA last week, so I've gotten a little bit of dose of SC and UCLA. I think that is the contender. I mean, I just laugh at the Big 12. I mean, I've never seen anybody run his or her mouth. I say that more than Bob Stoops has lately for someone who hasn't accomplished anything in nearly a decade. The Big Ten, I mean, it's cliche to make fun of the Big Ten, but we saw what happened with Urban Meyer last year. All he had to do was finish the game off against Michigan State and be in the national championship. So the ACC's got two teams. So I mean, the only one with more than two contenders, I think, is the Pac-12.
You know, you mentioned the Pac-12, and there was a story recently about Marcus Mariota, who's probably the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy, and his course load this year. What do you make of a guy who only has to take, what is it, yoga and golf, I believe?
Come on, he's already graduated,
He already graduated. He can do what he
why are you
wants.
killing the guy?
Well, I mean, he'd be an honor student in the SEC, wouldn't he?
What's your prediction right now? I know it's very early. A lot of things, camp's basically just opened. What's your early prediction on the Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the chalk because, I really think Alabama, because of a three-game schedule, is ticketed in there. Florida State, even though I think they could blow up, they don't have a challenging schedule, and I think Oregon has the tough games at home, and after that, I think Oklahoma primarily because there's no one really to beat in the Big 12, and they don't have a conference championship game, which can be your undoing. Just ask Urban Meyer.
Speaking of the Big 12, Charlie Strong has kicked every single player off of his team. I don't know how they're going to play against North Texas on August 30th. How's his act kind of wearing on Longhorn fans? He's already predicted that they won't play for the national championship this year.
Yeah, he could kick everyone off, and it still wouldn't be enough. I don't like what I'm seeing out there. I mean, first of all, I think he's a bad fit. Charlie Strong doesn't have an engaging personality, and to be the coach at Texas, you have to schmooze like Mac Brown did. They wanted Nick Saban. They were willing to go to the end of time to get Saban. A booster told us that they would have paid him at least $100 million, but it was hard to get the university and everyone to be on the same page. They ended up with Charlie Strong, and 3 years later, probably will be looking for a new coach.
Mm-hmm. Paul, will you be in our college football fantasy league this year?
I would be happy to, as long as you give me Alabama.
Hey, you know,
No, you draft players.
You're part of the SEC network, and
Well,
Tim,
I'll take all 22 on Alabama.
you're part of the SEC network, and Tim Tebow, of course, will be part of that. Does he legitimately still think he has a shot at the league? Is he still working hard, as you hear?
He is. I did a commercial shoot with him last week in L.A., and he's been out there working out with UCLA every day, and I think he believes it. Listen, we've become friends, and I'm not about to say, Tim, give it up. But I think at some point, probably soon, he'll realize he's not going to be in the NFL, and he'll announce his retirement.
You know
I
what,
hope you
Paul?
guys-
I want to be an
Okay.
astronaut, too. I'm 44. I think I can punt that dream
I don't
away.
want to be an astronaut.
The deal around when you're around Tim, though, I mean, he is a believer in everything. I mean, you can't discount him. I mean, he genuinely believes it, though. And by the way, he could play in the NFL. It's just that because of the polarizing atmosphere around him, very few clubs want to take a chance on it. And I mean, Belichick, I think, wanted to stick with him last year. Why he didn't, I don't know. But I mean, as far as a backup quarterback, I think Tebow could still make it, but I don't think he will.
Well, Paul, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your quick rise to superstardom in the TV world. You are a superstar, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you down the road here during the season.
Come on, guys. Listen, it's my pleasure. It's always fun to be on.
All right,
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, buddy.
Good luck on the
You got
book tour.
That's Paul
He's
Finebaum.
barnstorming through the state of Alabama this week.
He's a college football analyst and host of the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN Radio. Of course, working for the SEC Network. Just a big star is what he is.
What I'd hope is that Tim Tebow learns from Paul Finebaum that you can actually take shots at guys.
You can
Like, Paul
criticize
Finebaum
people.
doesn't pull any
Oh, no.
punches. And the problem with somebody like Tim Tebow is just I saw him one time.
He's
You
too
know, one
nice.
time,
He's
too
a nice guy.
Kind of boring on TV. You have to be willing to take some shots.
Yeah, Paul Finebaum was saying if you take yoga and gymnastics in the SEC, you're going to make honor roll. I mean, he doesn't care.
So
he puts his opinion out
so
there.
here are some of the early games
And he
for
called,
the first
by
weekend.
the way, he didn't pull any punches on James Winston. He called him a bad character dude.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably right.
What was the latest incident with Winston? It was kind of a small deal. Was
Pellet
it-
gun deal, maybe the pellet gun.
Yeah, I think like BB
but that
guns.
happened. That happened a while ago. I
But
think.
it was kind of like reported like in the last week or so.
Yeah, it was this past week. Thursday, like Paul mentioned, you've got Texas A&M, South Carolina. It's 6:00 game on SEC Network. You've got Boise State, Ole Miss on ESPN that first Thursday.
So that's 3 weeks from this Thursday.
Correct. Friday, there's a few games. You've got BYU and UConn. Saturday, of course, Penn State's opening up in Dublin, 8:30 in the morning against UCF.
With James Franklin as the new head coach.
My buddy's kid is actually playing for Penn State, Trace McSorley.
Right.
Now, he may redshirt. I'm not sure yet, but the family's going over there to watch the game. That's going to be pretty cool. UCLA opens up with Virginia. There's just a bunch of games to look forward to that first game.
And to bet on,
West
of
Virginia,
course.
Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. It'll be here. It's on a bullet train, man. It's coming quickly.
All right, coming up next, you have an update on, I forget her name, but somebody who you believe should be a porn star. And then we have an update on the Sacktown Mike porn story, and we'll find out if
Nobody
it's true.
here would kick this girl out of bed.
Because Sacktown has called in. We'll talk to him next and find out the latest from Sacktown Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, 106.7